Did I just turn it? This is really super sensitive. I have to actually push it in.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Have attention, please. All quiet, please. Thank you. Go ahead and take your notes out. I think it's a very good idea for you also to have out a sheet of paper or someplace in your notes where you're going to be able to write down questions and answers, because those are going to be exactly. When's the test? Friday, exactly. So Friday. Okay? So you got 48 hours before your test on this unit. This is your big test. Oh, it's going to be fine. Oh. Yeah, look at that. There it is. We'll be waiting for you. 65 questions, 45 matching. So those of you guys like matching. Wow. And then the remaining 20 are true false. Some of you guys like true false, some of you guys are like false. True false. So you'll want to be ready for that. We'll have that here in class. Somebody was asking, you're going to turn it. No. You just use your notes for studying and so forth. The less we have interactions here, just, transference of paper and other kinds of listen in your ear. You don't listen to music. Okay. It's not going. Oh, very good. So the less like transference of things and so forth, because we're trying to keep this hook so that we don't have to like have it impact us and so forth. Right? We're going to get this thing done. Okay? So, and then we'll go into our Constitution unit, and we'll get as far as we can in that as we go through the rest of the semester. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to have some kind of like assessment and so forth for you guys by the end of the semester, but typically the Constitution unit is going to take a little bit more time than we actually have in class between now and the rest of the semester. And in fact, I got to double check on this because I'm looking at like the Monday that we come back, and the Monday we come back, I don't think we're going to be actually coming back. I'm waiting for like official, but I think I've heard, and you guys have probably heard, that first Monday is like your an at-home Monday. So then the first time you guys would come here, Blue Day would be Tuesday. Yeah, I'm going to change my calendar and so forth. What?
Only happen Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. Blue Day, Tuesday, Thursday. Although the week of finals is Martin Luther King Jr., that's a Monday, that holiday, and so then I would imagine you guys would come on the Tuesday and the Thursday that week too. Okay? All right, so you guys ready? Let's get to this. Come here, chip. Oh, what else? So here, come. I forgot, no, come. I forgot this last time. This was the thing that you needed to do. I actually printed it off. You need to get that done for me. Got it? Yeah, and I had forgotten because I saw you last time. I forgot to do that. So you understand? Yep, you know what that is? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay? Or first thing, make sure you do the test. But yeah, I mean that's get ready for the test, presumably we do the test. Okay? Good. All right, yeah, don't forget. Okay. So, questions? Ready? I'm going to give you the last bit of notes here. Okay? The last bit of notes. What is the form of government that is typical throughout much of the history of Russia? Authoritarian. Okay? Authoritarian. Will there be much development of freedom as a form of people's expectations for legitimacy in the Russian government over those many, many years?
They try.
Yeah. But usually what is like some of the top things that the government is going to be looking at in Russia in order to like get the job done for the people of Russia?
Money.
Hold on. Yeah, economic social satisfaction, use some of the lingo. What about national security? Is that an issue over those years? Yeah, that's a big issue and so forth. So, what time period would you say, Megan, what time period, brief time period, actually saw more democracy in Russia? More opportunity for free choice in politics and other kinds of things. More freedom of speech. Would you say like right now?
No.
How about the end of communism in 1991? Yeah. And that worked out for about a decade or so. It sort of slips away. And it's really kind of sad for me to watch this. But I think it's fairly clear to point out, as we did last time. But whoa, it's okay, calm down. Just settle down. Oh gosh. Thank you. Now here we go. We'll put this image up there. That'll make you feel much calmer. Okay. Yes. that the challenges of the economy, especially in Russia in the communism, was it Boris Yeltsin's fault that the economy was in such bad shape when he became president? Yeah, okay, well, okay. Are the people going to be really patient with Boris Yeltsin and the other people around him? No. Okay, no. Yeah, I mean, it was not good. Economic social dissatisfaction was very prevalent in the 1990s. And who's going to step in and go, I can get the job done. I can keep other areas within Russia, Chechnya, from leading. I'll make sure that everything works out well for us. And actually, some people are like, yeah, he took back some of the value of the land and the timber and the oil and the gold so that more Russians were able to get that, particularly the value of the oil sales. And so Russia didn't experience that dire poverty and economic calamity that they were having in the 90s. Who got the job done, according to himself and people around him, and more the press that was like being very loyal to him. Yeah, Putin. Okay, it's actually interesting. You can write this down. They kept changing the laws. So like originally they had a law that was limiting the number of years you could serve as president, kind of like we have. How long? Anybody know how long you can serve as president in this country? Basically like 2 terms. The official word is 10 years, but that's weird. But yeah, I mean, Donald Trump, if he'd been reelected, he couldn't serve beyond that. Now that he has, looks like he is not going to be reelected, could he run again in 2024? Yeah, the Constitution doesn't prevent it. Putin was limited, but, you know, if the Constitution says you can't run again, what do? You run again. Well, that was convenient. So they've actually changed it over the years and made it more and more clear that Putin's in charge. Who never leaves the position of president? It's going to be, it looks like, at this point, it'll be his decision. And so it's an interesting question as to who's going to be taking over after that. But it's very much an authoritarian government system. Okay? It's kind of come full circle. And one of the things that's interesting, because I'm going to tell the story about a group of people, young women in Russia, that form up a band. I didn't pick the name of their band. It's a rather curious name for a band, and I think a lot of average Russians, especially older traditional Russians, would look at that and go, that's just wrong. That is just wrong. Okay? So let me tell you about these. These are young women, and they don't like what's going on in society. Well, there's a number of people that don't like what's going on in Russia. So I don't like everything that's going on in Russia, but I'm not Russian. So anyway, so they're looking around, they're like, here's one of the things they didn't like. Ready? They didn't like the fact that Putin was becoming very cozy with and favorable toward the Russian Orthodox Church. Okay, this is an interesting thing, because under communism, did they give much favor to religion? No, I mean they repressed it. But did the Russian Orthodox Church continue on and survive? Yes, and so actually when the communists were removed from power, like you see over there, right next to that, right above there, the St. Basil's Cathedral. During the time of the communists, they turned that into like a museum. They didn't tear it down, but it wasn't an operable church. They didn't have religious services there. Well, when Putin came in, he looked around, actually, Boris Yeltsin had already kind of started this process. They looked around, they're like, well, you know, the Russian Orthodox Church is pretty popular with people. Not to be too cynical, but if a religion is very popular with people, what do you suppose politicians might like to do? Put themselves into their religion. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, buddy up to them. And so they've actually spent a lot of money helping the restoration of primarily, not a lot of different religious faiths, but the Russian Orthodox Church, because that's one who's been around for a long time. And remember, in much of Russia's history, what was the #1 approved church? The Russian Orthodox Church. Who created Russian Orthodox Church? Remember his name? The guy that cut off people's heads. No, that was somebody else. Oh, yeah. Vladimir. He's like, I'm going to choose Russian Orthodox Church. Okay, everyone, you are baptized. Why are you so cynical? You know, just because you wanted to get all cozy with the Byzantine Empire, they were already Orthodox. Oh, gosh. Anyway, so these young women are like, hey, Putin, you're giving too much favorability to the Russian Orthodox Church. Okay, so somebody could argue this way, that way. I mean, are there any religions in this country that the government should give absolute favorability toward? Yes. You're like, no, actually, as we get to it next semester and so forth, we have freedom of religion. We basically say, government, you know, like, let the people freely choice and so forth, and try and stay out. Let people make those choices, not the government make those choices. But freedom of religion. Yeah, we'll get into that and so forth. So it's a very interesting thing. These ladies don't like that, and so they choose to criticize. Now, the way they criticize, are you ready? Can be very irritating to people who are, say, for example, attending the Russian Orthodox Church on the day that these ladies come into the church during the services and have a protest. You can imagine going to a religious service and somebody having an objection to that religious service, come barging in with their rock band instruments, and they start doing all this kind of stuff on the stage. I mean, that's what they're doing on their protest. Be like, police, we've got some trespassing going on here. We're trying to do our sermon, and these ladies came in, and they're doing like this whole thing going on. Right? So they're attracting attention, they're attracting focus on their particular issue, and the way they do it is pushing the bounds. We'll see that like in the civil rights movement and other kind of movements. They push the bounds, right? I mean, when people were upset at the British in Boston, what did they do? They protest. And they did some, tarring and feathering, but, there were other kinds of protesty kind of things. So here's the deal. This is where this particular group got a lot of attention. Is this going to go over very well in average Russian public opinion, their protest? No. They're going to look and go, these ladies are disrespectful, and they're wrong, and they're Russian. So what should happen to them? In this country, if somebody barged into your church and interrupted the service and did some protest, what would happen to them? They'd get arrested. And then what would happen? They would go to jail. For how long?
3 years.
That's pretty long. Yeah. Like at the most. At the most, right? It would be sort of an incremental thing. I mean, if they came back week after week after week after week, then you ratchet up the penalty.
3 years.
These ladies were looking at really long sentences for their crimes.
3 years.
And look, 3 years? Yeah.
Where's my listing on the...
3? I mean, wow, she's really insistent. This is a tough prosecutor. So they were asking for this, and so a lot of the attention was like, wow, Putin, you're like too critical, or you're like too harsh, your government is too harsh, the sentences are too much. So, they weren't ultimately put in jail for a long, long time period, but they wanted to continue to protest. So they do. One of their next protests is going to take place, you can write this down, this is at the Russian Olympics, or the Olympic Games, this would be like the Winter Olympic Games in Russia, at Sochi in 2014. So you got all kinds of people from the news media, all over from the whole world coming, and these ladies are going to show up in Sochi and criticize Putin, right? Okay. So they're going to go out in the street and do their latest song that's critical of Putin and dance around and do this whole rock thing and so forth. If you agree with them, join in. If you disagree with them, I don't know, what do you do? In America, if you disagree with somebody doing their protest? Walk away, or you look and you go, whatever. Here's the deal, in Russia, if you're offended, what is the Russian traditional thing if somebody's offended?
You eat them.
Somebody, and you're actually going to see this. So you're going to see actually some guys, and they're dressed up like modern Cossacks, right? We introduced you to Cossacks. Cossacks are an old traditional, like pioneering, like beat up the local indigenous population on behalf of Russia. These self-appointed, self-uniformed Cossacks are going to come up and they will literally whack the snot out of these ladies on camera. And here's the deal. The police are going to stand around going, oh yeah, they kind of deserve it. I mean, it's like, is this how they get things done in Russia? I mean, in this country, when our police do things that are not real cool as far as how they're arresting somebody and cutting off their breathing and so forth, our country doesn't like it. Justifiably so. Because our police are supposed to be helpful and not standing on the side letting other people beat up other people. But this is sort of it comes full circle. I'll play the little video for a wave. You can look and go, well, I guess that's Russia today.
Wait till the action gets the video.
Yeah, in fact, every time I show this, beware, this is dangerous, this is not appropriate. I'm like, hello, this is authoritarian government. Right? I mean, they call them really nasty things. You can tell the difference between the police who just sort of sit on the sidelines and do nothing, the ones that are going up there and they're Cossacking in terms of wailing on these women, and then of course the women and their supporters are taking pictures and going, help us, Alright, here we go. We'll play a little of this, not the full 8 minutes, but. He doesn't like the women. He doesn't like what they're doing. It makes Russia look bad. These are the Cossacks.
Why do they choose that name?
Members of Pussy Riot showed up in Sochi
They
where
like
Russia was
attention,
the Olympics
attention
to record
grabbing
the
names.
protest song. But when Nanta Telefonica and Masha Alyokina and a handful of other members of the group headed out of a cafe towards the Sochi seaport to tape it, this happened.
Oh my gosh. We're spraying on it.
Wait, are those
Whoa!
Americans?
Yeah. Okay, let's just identify. We got like a cameraman taking pictures, he's part of the group. The ladies all dressed up in bright things, they're part of the group. This guy right here, is he part of the police? No, he's a Cossack. He's sort of like, he's saying, I'm going to enforce traditional Russian values of don't be mean, don't be critical of Putin, don't be whatever. And what's he doing? He's whipping them.
Wait, are the girls actually from the U.S.?
No, they're not from the U.S. They're from Russia.
Wait, but then why do you go?
He calls them that because he's saying, you're like America, and he doesn't think that much of America, and so, you know, you're just trying to play it to the American media, and da-da-da-da-da. And so, yeah, he's whipping them. Okay, this guy gets whipped too. Some other guy's going to get his face down in the ground. So now this guy's like grabbing this woman.
The men beating these women up are Cossacks, a paramilitary force supported by the government.
That's the lyrics for her song. Putin will teach you how to love the motherland. This is not America
Police were
here.
there
Can you
too.
tell it's not
They
America?
allowed the mini pogrom to continue for about 10 minutes without intervening.
Wait, that's a...
Whoa. So who was holding that guy down to the ground with his face bleeding? Not the policeman, exactly, not the policeman. What was the policeman doing? Kind of standing on the side. It's like next semester when we get to talking about the civil rights movement in the Deep South in the 1950s and 60s. Are the police going to protect African American civil rights workers? No. Right? This makes our country look really bad, deservedly so. Does this make Russia look really bad? Yeah. Deservedly so.
So the girls from Pussy Riot and the guy who was taking part in a performance that they were trying to do, they just walked out of a restaurant, walked up to a big sign that said Sochi on it, started putting their masks on, and a bunch of Cossacks came out of nowhere and just started beating them up. Somebody sprayed pepper spray, they got their whips out. It was pretty serious. Now the police have showed up, but the police are refusing to arrest anybody who was involved in beating them up.
Here's the Russian police right here, right? Are they interested in arresting the Cossacks? Who do many in the Russian population say is in the right in this situation?
The people.
Do they have a strong sense of like, hey, look, if you don't like the protest, you don't like how they're doing the protest, just ignore them, walk away, this is America, don't vote for them. Do they have a strong sense of that in Russia? The ones that do, my hat's off to those guys, because they know it's a dangerous thing to do if they actually want to get out there and criticize the government, or let alone run for president. What happened to the last guy who was running for president against Vladimir Putin? Shot dead in the streets. It's like right in front of the police, he's still beating these guys up. He's still hitting them.
Почему вы не арестовали никого? Now they're saying that the Cossack who drew blood has been arrested, but nobody saw him get arrested and he's not here anymore.
Russia has fielded thousands of Cossacks in Sochi for the Olympics to help police maintain public order. But on this occasion, the incident was instigated by the Cossacks themselves. Meanwhile, members of Pussy Riot regrouped in a cafe.
Pause it right there. You get a bit of a sense of what's going on here? Sorry. Russia.
Ew.
Russia.
I like him.
He looks so raw.
He looks like a juice just popped him out.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what my dad says all the time.
What's that?
It looks like a juice just popped him out.
Oh, that's not very nice. Okay, so you ready? Here we go.
Oh.
Let's do our review.
You're defending him.
What is that? No, I'm not gonna defend
I
you.
mean, people like that,
Yeah.
just so
No. Right? Actually, it's fascinating because I remember like several years back there, because people were looking and going, he's tough. He's tough. He gets the job done. There were some Americans going, that's what we need.
What?
We need that kind of tough. Get the job done.
No.
Right? So some of them were like holding up these little like face things, cutouts of like Putin's face, and I'm like, dude, I haven't finished instructing you. I got some learning for you. Because when you look at the whole context, you're like, yeah, is he tough? Yeah, he's tough. He's tough like Vladimir, right? He's tough like Ivan the Terrible. He's tough like Peter the Great.
He's
He's tough like Catherine the Great. Stalin. But he's not Russian. But yeah, I mean, you get kind of the same thing. He's tough. He can get national security, you know, and so forth. But what about personal freedom? Not any of his things. Can you be a legitimate government in Russia without having the provision for lots of protection of personal freedom? You guys might say no. I would say no. But that portion of the population, is there a big, massive revolution going on right now against Putin? No. The thing you have to worry actually about, falling oil prices. What would falling international oil prices do to Russia? Yeah, because a lot of their economy is based on the sale of oil, and if the prices go down too much, that could be a problem. In fact, let's see the right at this one. Yeah. Part of the reason, like, that things were going better for Russia is that Russia was getting more control of the oil industry again. The prices were holding steady. And so if you make a bunch of money, it's like, if you guys all of a sudden, like, lived in a country like, I don't know, Bahrain or Kuwait, an oil-rich Persian Gulf country, would you even have to, like, be going to school in order to, like, get a job to work? I mean, actually, yeah, you might actually be subsidized by the government. They'll pay other people to do all the really hard work and so forth. Pay to be a nice citizen of that. Well, be careful because if your country is invaded by somebody else, then I don't know who's going to bail you out. Yeah. All right, so let's get to this. Let's use the remainder of this time period. I'm going to go ahead and record this so you have this as a way of, if you want to tap into this between now and Friday, you can watch this again. I'll upload it tonight. Don't wait for the link. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you will have an immediate. And you guys subscribe to it? Yeah. Okay. There you go. You get immediate notices, don't you?
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, Mr. Hanson's up late, or up early, whatever. Like, you know, loading these things up. Otherwise, you have to wait until I put the link in Google Classroom, and that usually, takes a little bit longer. So here we go. We'll review. I have groups of 5 matching sections. So I've got a total of 45 of those, and then another 20 true false. Okay? Trey, would you like to start us off? Either you answer the first question or have somebody else do it.
I'll do it.
All right, here we go. Let's go for it. I got a group of people. These are outside Russia. Give me the name of the people who conquered Russia in the years 1223 to 1240. What were the group of people that came through, attacked Russia, creating a serious national security problem, and ended up conquering the whole...
Oh, the Mongols?
Perfect, that's the Mongols. Very good. Okay, that's the correct answer there. Okay, who goes next? No, you tell me. Trey, who goes?
Wait, so we just write down this stuff?
Yeah, when we go through this one and so forth, if you hear the question, you know the answer, you're like, okay, I think I got that one. If you hear something that looks a little askew, feel free to write it down and so forth, because then you'll go back into your notes. Reminder, This is going to be based on the notes. It's also based on the handouts we did from the video. Although for some of those ones, it's not everything in the video, it's not every single detail, but I'll try and, as we go through this review, hit some of the key points that come out of the video. Okay?
But what years were they?
1223 to 1240. I mean, this, yeah, it's the Mongols. Okay? So sometimes dates are going to be very important. Okay, Trey goes next. Wait.
Megan.
What?
I choose Megan.
Megan. Okay. All right. So we got I got a group of 5 different Russian czars. 5 different Russian czars. Okay. Give me the name of the Russian czar who, in World War I, he was the loser and he quit. He abdicated along with his young son. He was the leader of Russia and quit when Russia was losing World War I. And actually, on this one, reminder, you guys know, if you know the answer, raise your hand, because that way if somebody's stuck on it, then they can call on somebody and quickly move along here. So as soon as you know the answer, put your hand up. Don't be shy. So if you're not really sure, you can look through your notes, which is always kind of tricky because you got a lot of notes. I mean, you've been doing it for a while. If you're not sure, call somebody. I see 1 hand, I see 2 hands. Some of you guys aren't putting your hands up, but I bet you know. Call somebody.
I don't know, why are
Call somebody, got their hand up.
You made eye contact with me.
Nicholas the second, yeah, Nicholas the
I was
second.
just reading that. I have to like.
Very good, okay? Yep.
Me too, I have homework.
We got all kinds of, I got Alexander in there, Ivan the Terrible, Nicholas, Peter, okay, keep going. Megan and Go next. Noah, here you go. I got some commies, got some Russian communists and so forth, and other communists from other parts of the world. Give me the name of this particular Russian communist. This is important, and you see his name pop up in context from Animal Farm, although not the character. This would be like Snowball. This is the guy who led the Russian, the Red Army during the Russian Civil War. Later, after he lost out in a conflict to Stalin, he fled to Mexico, thinking he was safe there, but he ended up getting killed by one of Stalin's people. No, not Lenin. Lenin died, and then there was a bit of a struggle for who was going to be on top. Stalin got it. This guy lost, went to Mexico, ended up getting killed. In Animal Farm, he is synonymous with Snowball. If you're not sure, you can call him. No. Napoleon would be synonymous with Stalin.
That's my time.
So give me the name of the Russian leader. You can call somebody else. I mean, let's keep just moving along. We get more questions. Trotsky. Leon Trotsky. Okay, Leon Trotsky. Okay, so yeah, make sure. And this is how we do when we do the reviews. Just make little notes and so forth of like what we're talking about. And that way you can go back in your notes and go, Leon Trotsky's going to be on the test, as is Lenin and Stalin and Marx is going to be on the test, and Gorbachev is going to be on the test. Okay, who goes next?
Scott.
Hey, Scott, here you go. Somebody was asking if this person's going to do the test. Hello, Teen Revolution, Ruya, Mr. Hanson's bro, his friend, playing guitar strings.
Oh no. Are you joking?
It's the pressure. It's the pressure. You'll see it when you see it because it's a match in the section. Irma Salinder. Yeah, when you look at that, you're like, I remember that one. In fact, so, who goes next? Who's another one from there? There's a couple of them you need to know. There's actually 3 of them that come from one particular video I'm going to give you now. Who'd you say? Anna. Hey, Anna, here you go. Give me the name. This is going to be important. Everyone needs to make sure you know this. This is from the 1989 People Power. 1989 People Power video. Give me the name of the Romanian dictator who was not all cool with handing power to the people, and he ordered his Romanian troops, to shoot the people, and then eventually his Romanian troops were like, we're not going to follow orders anymore, and they shot him and his wife. What was that guy's name?
I literally.
It's really hard to like spell and pronounce. There is a cut in it. And in fact, his first name reminds me of Christmas. He was killed on Christmas Day. Saint
Nicholas.
Nicholas. His first name is Nikolai.
I had it up
Raise
on
your
my
hand if you
notes.
know this one. You can raise your hand if you know this one. All right, I'll go ahead and tell you. Ready? Ceausescu. and it looks like CSQ.
I literally don't remember.
On the
I didn't know
test.
how to pronounce it. I wrote it.
Yeah,
down.
no, it's okay. If you recognize it on the test, then you'll be okay. Andy, you want another one?
Cool.
Okay, since you didn't get it, nobody got it, I'll give you this one. See if you can get this one. This one's also from 1989, People's Power. This is a Polish guy. Alright, he's a Polish guy. He's the leader of the Solidarity Union, labor union, and he's anti-communist, and so he'll eventually be like the first freely elected non-communist leader. Raise your hand if you know this one. You can help out Anna. I'm giving Anna a hard one. But once we do, then you guys are like, okay.
If we gave me his name, I would know. You know.
First name starts with an L, rhymes with Ek.
Lek.
Lek. There we go. Lek. It looks like Lech, but he's not Lech. It's Lek. That's pronounced.
Oh.
Polish.
L-E-C-K?
Okay, so yeah, you can have those in front of you as we're going through the video sheet. No, but that would be really helpful, wouldn't it? How about you have it in front of you while you're studying for the test? For the 48 hours you're studying for the test. We'll go through this very quickly. Anybody find it yet? Okay, I'm not going to wait anymore. Sorry, Anna. Walesa. W-A-L-E-S-A. Walesa. Like Walesa. Okay? And
What about him?
I'll give you two hard ones.
What about him?
He's on the test. He's a labor union leader for free independent labor unions in Poland. Yeah. Okay? Who goes next? Okay, I'm going to give you another one from 1989 People Power. This one is from Czechoslovakia. He's also going to be a leader for anti-communism. And he's a playwright. So he's going to be the heading up of the Velvet Revolution. Remember, Jane and the Keys and so forth. I don't suppose anyone's got that one. What was the name of the Czech anti-communist poet, playwright, political leader? Yeah, this is why I'm pointing these ones out, because you want to go back through and make sure you have these ones. On the videos, there's not as many, but there's several. V, it starts with a V.
Oh, I don't know.
Go ahead,
I don't know how to say it.
give it a shot.
B-A,
Yes, that's the guy.
Vaclav,
Vaclav
Havel.
Havel. Vaclav Havel. Okay, Vaclav Havel. Oh my gosh, these Europeans, their names are so European. Oh my god. Alright. Like Don, Bud, Henry, Hannah. Who goes next?
Or Hanson.
Okay, keep it going. Ava, here's a question. Alright, this is different groups of people. Give me the name. This is actually from the 1917 Red Flag. These are Russian peasants who are better off peasants, but Stalin represses them, takes away their land, and they try to resist, and he ends up like having them all killed directly as he started them. It is not cool that Stalin did this.
Oh, I never noticed one.
Stalin lacked coolness. We call it. Yeah. It would be a type of surf. They're like better off surf. Think of surf as like being bound entirely to the land. They didn't be freed by Alexander II. So surf is a good answer. That will actually be on the test. It's not the answer to this particular question. Do you know what it is?
Farmers?
No, we'll give it special names. Special names for well-off farmers. Anybody know? You guys need to know?
I think I know.
It is not cool if you don't know it.
It's,
It's lacking coolness.
Kulak.
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 Kool-Aid.
Ooh, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ava. K-U-L-A-K. Kulak. Okay. Who goes next? Vera, here you go. Vera, give me the name of, this is the Russian legislature. Russian legislature. They had, Nicholas II didn't give them much power, but when he quit, they were in charge of the country, and then they lost power. They didn't know what to do, so they asked their mother. Duma.
Duma.
Duma. Duma. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. JT, here we go. JT, items, okay, items. Oh, this is from Animal Farm. What was forbidden to be consumed, although the pigs still did?
Whiskey.
Yeah, or alcohol, okay? All right. Go ahead, ask, who goes next? Okay? Morgan? Morgan, here's a question. Morgan, nobody's going to forget this one. What was something that was given as a gift to Irma so that he could play music? Everyone knows this one. What did Mr. Hanson give Irma so that he could put on his guitar
Violin
to
string.
play?
I literally can't think right now, so George just went out.
I'm stringing you along here. What is it you put on a guitar so you can make music?
Guitar and then.
Guitar,
Strings.
strings, exactly, yeah. Yep, yep,
I
yep.
said strings twice.
Yep. Okay, who goes next?
We'll put everyone win.
Well, then everyone's gonna go again, potentially. Come on, chop, who goes? Actually, it's okay, 'cause you're like, that person, I don't know. Who? Point. Who? Scott, here we go, Scott. All right, now this one's gonna be very important. Everyone listen very carefully. I have a section in here of dates, and it's very important to get these
Oh,
dates
no,
right.
dates.
Yes?
I'm awful with dates.
What? It's my birthday, don't forget it. Yeah. How about this one, all right? What? This is 5 dates. Okay? Not 100 first dates. Okay, that's different. That's a movie.
No, it's 51st date.
50 first dates. That's right. Never mind. Whoa, I knew somebody was gonna get that. Adam Sandler and
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
that other lady. Yeah, that well-known other lady.
It's just not a blonde.
Drew Barrymore, right? Isn't it Drew Barrymore? Wasn't it? Anyway.
Was she like the?
What? Guess it was?
And it was like Alicia.
All right. What was the year of the Bolshevik Revolution and the year, actually, of the revolution that got rid of the Tsar, the revolution that got rid of the Duma and Alexander Kerensky? Minus 9? Minus 9 from 1926?
Oh, 26.
Bruh.
1917. 1917. Okay? So 1917, okay, Bolsheviks. All right, now, what was the year, since you did get that one right, what was the year that the Soviet Union invaded Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania? World War II started. You want to call somebody? Put the hands up. You can call somebody.
1939.
1939, okay? Now, this is important. Okay, here's another follow-up. What was the year that the Estonian Revolution started in Estonia? Because this is before the Berlin Wall falls in 1989. The Estonian Revolution got started a year before that. So if the Berlin Wall falls in 1989, when did the Estonian Revolution take place? A year earlier than the Berlin Wall coming down. 8, exactly.
Oh.
Very good. All right, very good. Okay, now you call on somebody, I'm going to give them the last one of those. Ava, here we go. When did the Soviet Union then break up finally and Estonia officially got its independence? It was shortly after, although not in the same year as the Berlin Wall came down. Okay. 90-something, yeah, that's kind of vague. That's kind of like a whole decade. Was it early in the 1990s or later? 91. Okay, all right, good. Ava, good enough. Hey, Jen. Okay. Give me the name. I'm looking for. I got some Russian names, right? I got an Estonian name. So, like, here's me. When everyone together said the name of an Estonian singing concert every 5 years is Laulupidu. Come on, Laulupidu.
How do you spell that?
Oh, I got you.
No, IT. Man. Laulupidu, Laulupidu. Give me the name. Janet, right? Quiet. No free speech, except Gorbachev is in favor of free speech openness. This is 1989 People Power. What is the policy that he has for openness? You'd be very glad if you remember this on the test. You can raise your glass
To
and
breathe
toast.
them.
The fact that you know it. Raise your hand if you know this one. You can help her out. Oh my gosh. Russian word for openness. Yeah, you got some work to do.
It's open. Open sesame.
This is in the 1989 People Power.
You should do a Hamilton trivia.
No, not really. Anybody? Anybody? Russian Gorbachev's openness policy. Starts with a gla, rhymes with asno. Yes, Dan, who goes next? Trey, here we go. Trey, this is actually shows up, I've got this written down in a handout to you as well. Karl Marx says the industrial workers should rule the world. What was the French word that he used to describe industrial workers, as opposed to the owners we call bourgeoisie? What are the workers called? Oh yeah, it's on the chat. Industrial workers. Be very proactive when you're preparing for the test. Don't be a troll, or you will be tearing at your hair. Proletariat.
We never learned.
It's in the handout. It's in the handout. We talked about that. Proletariat. You gotta look through it. It's like there's that one big section from the 1939, 1989 People's Power. Not that one. Revolution. Yeah, right here. Yeah, oh no, right here. Yeah. Karl Marx said the workers, the proletariat. So, yeah, communists are all about the proletariat should rule. Well, who should rule the proletariat? The dictators. Who's the dictators? The communists. Okay, who goes next? Who's that? Dan, who goes next? Trey. Oh, sorry, Trey. Who goes next? Come on, jump. Hey, JT, give me the name of the war that Russia lost in 1853-1856 to Britain and France, because Britain and France were more advanced than Russia was. Don't be cheering on me if you can't remember. You can just call on somebody. No, this is 1853. It's like 100 years before that. No. It's the Turkish one. Don't be tearing up on me if you can't remember the name. Don't be crying.
Oh, manual.
Manual boy, yes, very good. Okay, JT, you go. Okay, Anna. Give me the name of this is recent, give me the name of the country where Putin's like, yeah, we're going to take the Crimea from you, and we're going to take over some other territory from you. You know what I'm talking about.
The devil went down.
Don't crane your neck and look at this traffic accident.
Ukraine.
Ukraine. And who goes? No, give me the name of the territory that's in Russia that Putin's like, you are not going to leave, and I'm going to blow the snot out of you, you poor little whatever.
Yeah, that helps. Oh, sure.
Yeah. Chechnya. Now who goes? Who? Last one.
Vera.
All right. Muisama on Minu Arm is a song sung praising what country and people? Muisama on Minu Arm. It's from the Singing Revolution.
I'm thinking about his arm.
Yeah. Muisama. Don't be laughing about Muisama. Alright, oh my gosh, yeah, we got a lot of details. You wanna get in there and really mine your notes.
I thought it was gonna be like, what is
The
this
handout.
translation?
Oh boy, howdy.
What is the English translation of the entire song? Write the entire lyrics.
Woo! Lot of detail.
Oh.
Study
Lord.
together. We should make one big study group for the whole.
What? The firecracker?
Yeah.